Shalom, this is a Sharbah and Shrala, analyzed in camp. Located here, Jasper, Florida. First and foremost, I'd like to our praises, honor, and glory to the Father and the Son in the proper true Hebrew tongue. Call, Halayam La, Yahawah, Ba Hashem Yahushai, Ba Hashem, Ha, Rakah, Kodash Ma'amoth. Also, double honors to the elder and apostle of GMS. Double honors to my apostle as well, down here in Lions Den camp. A hard one by Sharala. Peace and blessing to 1/3, and salutations to those for elect. This lesson is going into 2/3 of our people, going into like hearsay, scoffers, and fools, the ones that either don't want to know the Lord, that know the Lord but don't want to know Him the correct way, or just don't, hate to straight out just hate the Lord, And of course, mainly, for even hearsayers, that ultimately take what they know about something, and then they don't know fully about anything, and they can't prove it, and they say it out loud. And when you say it out loud, more people hear it, But right now, of course, publicity, any publicity is good publicity. Going pertaining to black Hebrew Israelites, we are Hebrew Israelites. We go according to the Spirit and bloodline. We ultimately go back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's our forefathers. We don't pertain to the word, black or white. That's not what the Lord, called us. He called us. He called the Caucasian race. He called them Edomites, red men, and he called us, of course, Jacob, Israel. He's the Prince of Power. That's what we are. So any hearsayers, as far as for 2/3 of our people, that take anything from the scriptures and don't know anything about it, that's what they're doing. They're going against the Lord. They're going against law. You gotta prove all things, basically. As far as hearsay, people say, so like at work, I say I don't eat pork, or I don't eat pork, I don't get tape because it's in the Bible. That's not in the Bible. I thought that's a simple thing about not eating pork. I can see the haircut, but not eating the pork, of course, it's in the Bible. And now you're not supposed to eat swine. You can't touch it when it's dead. People just take what they get from Christianity, from churches. They go to church, went either like 5 times a year, just for Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, and then they call it a day after that. Weddings. They call it a year after that. They need they wicked glass refill. They old glass. They need their old glass filled with old wine so they can keep being that putrid old man, that putrid old person that despises the Lord, or doesn't want to know the Lord, or doesn't care, But the Lord is gonna show that he's gonna show who he doesn't like as well, So if you don't like the Lord, it's all right. But the Lord is the creator of the heavens and earth, so that wouldn't be the best thing you can do. This is Jeremiah chapter 9, and I'm gonna give verse 6. It says, "Thy habitation is in the midst of deceit. Through deceit they refuse to know me, saith the Lord. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, I will melt them, try them, for shall I do for the daughters of my people?" Question mark. And for how shall I do for the daughters of my people? All right. Ultimately, to those people, they have to know by death, by pain. The ones that are getting it right now, that's either rich or that's like in a good mindset. That can go for the smallest person right now, like homeless people. A homeless person, at least especially in Jacksonville, you have a lot of that's very comfortable, and you would think they would want to love the Lord and get back, but they're not like a regular homeless. They're not like YAHAWAH, who was homeless because he got work to do. He didn't care about nothing about the clothes, about this and that. But it's people on this side, 2/3 of people, that care about clothes, that care about comfortability in their mind, not spiritually. It's like they're mentally comforted, but they probably played with legions and whatnot. And to be truthfully honest, nonetheless, they're happy with being in agreement with those legions, so they continue with their life, But the Lord is gonna. That's what He's doing. He says the habitation is the midst of deceit. Through deceit they refuse to know me. All right. So it says, and I will melt them and try them, for shall I do of the daughter of my people? And question mark. Of course, there's only one thing you can do for a harlot. If your daughter is a harlot, you can only, well, really shoot for 1/3 of our people. They were the ones that started believing again, and that became clean through the spirit of Yahweh by Shema Shai. For 2/3 of our people, they're that same harlot with no righteousness in them, and they have to be expunged. Basically, they have to be melted, because that's the part that the Lord does not want on in His kingdom. All right. Should I keep going? This verse 8 says, their tongue is as an arrow shot out. It speaketh deceit. One speaketh peaceably to his neighbor with his mouth, but in heart he lieth his weight. All right, so for 2/3 of our people, they may speak good of themselves or of their neighbor or of the Lord, but their heart is far from is from good. It's far from righteous, because really they're not a good person, man. Nowadays is you gotta, if you're not calling out the name Yahweh by Shema Shai, you can be a good dude, don't get me wrong. But ultimately, if you're not calling out the name Yahweh by Shema Shai, hey, that's a clear testament, a clear test that you're following the right person, that you're not following I'm trying to get a whole bunch of names like Moloch or Rampham, man. You're not following the devil. You're following the Lord. If you're not following the Lord, then you being misled. All right, I'm keep going with this. Well, I'm gonna leave it up. Well, yeah. Verse 9 says, "Shall I not visit them for these things? Saith the Lord, Yahawah. Shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this?" All right. For the mountains will I take up a weeping and a wailing, for the habitation of the wilderness a lamentation, because they are burnt up, so that none can pass through them, neither can men hear the voice of the cattle. Well, I just go by 9. It says, "Shall I not visit them for these things of the Lord? Shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this?" All right, so man. Our people, the Lord has to avenge His name, for the ones that just totally despise the Lord, knowing that He went through, hell and back for His people around 37 AD, being crucified, being whipped, having his teeth knocked out, having his beard plucked out. Well, not teeth, I ain't gonna say that, but having his beard plucked out, having his back fully lashed. All right, so being and be able to give up the ghost, and then come back and be, of course, being mortal, sitting on the right hand of the Father right now. All right, they totally despise that they despise the immortal being on the right hand of the Father that delivered them from their sin. All right, so that's what it is right now, man. They're going up a hearsay. If it's not getting them physical benefits, if it's not giving them what's the word? If it's not giving money, basically, if it's not giving not even money. It's like I said, physical benefits, So I can't even say mental, because the flesh, that's what people operate off of. So physical benefits, something that pleases their flesh. So not their spirit, not their the their heart. But it's of course their heart is deceitful above all things. All right, I'm gonna get some more. This is a hearsay. Which lesson is going into? It says hearsay is an out-of-court statement offered to prove the truth or whatever it asserts, which is then offered in evidence to prove the truth of the matter. The problem with hearsay is that when the person being quoted is not present, it is possible to establish credibility. As a result, hearsay evidence is generally not admissible in court. However, there are exceptions to hearsay rule, which are explained. All right, mainly, all right. Anytime someone's have hearsay in the Bible, as far as going according to doctrine, and i.e. that Christianity doctrine, going back to 325 AD, we always have the scriptures present. You always should have a sword on you. At least you got the unicorn to do it on your phone. So nonetheless, when someone says something about Holy Trinity, someone says something about hell, someone says you don't got to follow the law, someone says you about prophecy is done with, or they saved, you can bring all this stuff up with the scriptures. You got to you prove all things, and it's so easy, because the stuff that these people are coming up with It's just, it's kind of like a re nothing newer than the sun. So I'm pretty sure that's what everybody's doing 2,000 years ago to the same men that were calling out the name of the Lord YAHAWAH. They're doing the same thing. They said they follow God, but then they don't want to read the Bible. They say they love God, but they don't care about His name. They say they have salvation, but they don't know where they saved from. So all these hypocrisies and blasphemies that people just plainly just go around with these hearsays and shoot and not admonishing the Lord YAHAWAH. They don't know about it. They don't care about it because all they care about is that fleshly benefit is just being good on this side, But that's temporal. And this is, of course, pertaining to these whorehouses nowadays. This is Matthew chapter 21, verse 13. It says, and said unto them, it is written, my house shall be called the house of prayer, but ye have made it a den of thieves. All right. This is exactly what these whorehouses is today. They're a den of thieves. They're harlot houses. All they do is take money, hoop, holler, and that going into a point that a brother Brock made is a cooner, not coonery, like it's some type of I'll look it up. But nonetheless, when our people were supposed to be praising God in the churches that the slave churches, they you can only dance and sing. You couldn't bring out scriptures. Of course, you couldn't even read anyways. Even though the scripture says, "Blessed is he that readeth." So you couldn't read. You can only dance and shout. And that's what our people are still known for today. They'll bring out one scripture, John 3:16, and that'll be the whole church. They just sing and dance and do that. That's cool and all, according to you can sing and dance, but if you're doing it like that, your heart is far from the Lord, and you're not truly following Him. You're just going off of, So and if you don't change from that, you're gonna be destroyed. That's what the Lord is plainly saying. He's giving it to His men. The men of the Lord that's on the highways and byways and street corners. And we were telling our people, either old or young, it don't matter. If you don't know the Lord, then you a child. And we're telling our people, if they turn back, then good thing. They don't, then keep it pushing because they're going to learn, Just like Scripture say, by death, by pain, man. They're going to know that there's a God in heavens that is against him that is wicked. And if you don't turn back to him in righteousness and truth and sincerity, you're going to be, BTA. And this is Proverbs chapter 19:29, just to affirm the point I just said. If you don't turn back, it's BTA. It says judgments are prepared for scorners and stripes for the back of fools. So for the ones that don't want to know nothing, the ones that don't want to do nothing, for the ones that are against the Lord and only against the Lord, then those are what's going to be prepared for you. It's going to be destruction, or it's going to be stripes, and they're going to be beaten to a pulp. And then of course you're still going to be destroyed because the Lord still got to get you out of here. And you'll be straight in the kingdom though. You'll be reborn perfect in the kingdom. This is on this side you messed up totally. You lost the whole plot, and you got to be decimated because of it. But you're not going to be totally eradicated like Esau is. You're going to be perfect. You just can't. The Lord can't have your mouth speaking how it is right now. For everyone on earth right now that's speaking against the Lord, they're going to be made perfect in the kingdom. They're going to come back later and later throughout time, depending on how wicked they is. And they might not able to see Esau, because they don't really deserve that. So, Esau and bondage, because they didn't want this on their side. But nonetheless, the judgments are prepared for scorners and stripes for the back of fools. So man, that's what's gonna happen for the ones that believe in Baal or Rampham Moloch. For the ones that don't believe in YAHAWAH, they're gonna get stripes and destruction. And that's really taking it easy, and that's really merciful. That's the best cleaning agent the Lord can give you for you to turn back. Because if it were so that all of our people had to turn back, we'll be here for another 1,000 years. And that's what the Lord called for the hope for elect, 144,000. and the 1/3 out of the nation of Israel, which are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and speckled birds. He's looking for his elect right now. And his 1/3 is gonna follow through. So, kind of just keep going. This is Proverbs chapter 1 and 5. It says, "A wise man will hear and will increase in learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto a wise counsel." So just going to the point, and by hearsay, people use hearsay because they don't really know nothing. And once they hear about the hearsay being hearsay, you would think they would just turn back, and be like, "Oh, my bad." Some people do, of course. For the ones that love the Lord, because before knowing the truth in the scriptures, you have a whole bunch of hearsay. I thought regeneration, reincarnation, I thought that was like Hindu, but hey, it's a real thing that the Lord has created to set order on His world. For the same people that was here 2,000 years ago, they're back in the flesh doing the same thing, or they're in heaven, being one of the hopeful elect, doing the same thing. They were once on here doing the same thing they were doing in their past life, originally, at least prior to 2,000 years ago, trying to follow the Lord YAHAWAH Shema Shai, trying to follow the Lord YAHAWAH Shema Shai, and they were trying to speak the truth, man. They hold on to their promise. One of the best promises you can ever get in the universe right now is His kingdom, man. Having this blessing and knowledge and wisdom, understanding of YAHAWAH Shema Shai, and knowing there's a reward for knowing this and loving the Lord. Hey, that's even better, even more so. Now, hearsay is not gonna get you nowhere. Attaining unto wise counsel is gonna get you very, very far. So that's what you should do with your time, instead of just hearsay. Try to actually read. Blessed he that, Revelation 1 and 3 says, "Blessed he that readeth." That hear the words of these prophecies. Slightly paraphrasing. So if you do that, then you'll get even better. Don't take it for face value. It's either allegorical or it's straight up. 1 and 13. But Revelation 1:13, that's literally face value. The Lord is a so-called black man from the tribe of Judah. His feet is brass burned to a furnace, and so the rest of his body is by default. All right. So, but nonetheless, let's keep going with this. This is 1 Timothy chapter 6 verse 4. It says, "He is proud, knowing nothing, but doubting about questions and strifes of words, whereof cometh envy, strife, and relish, and evil surmisings." All right, just going to once again, just reiterating the point of 2/3 of our people. This is what they're doing right now. They're proud, knowing nothing. The only thing they do is speak against the Lord and speak against the men of the Lord. Because that's the easy way to try to. They think that's the easy way to reach the Lord, but that's the easy way to get knocked off. Is to mess with His servants and His saints. Esau's gonna definitely be knocked off because of that. Messing with His saints. You're not supposed to touch the apple of His eye. That go for 2/3 of our people. You may be Israel, but you're not of Israel. And so speaking against the apple of the Lord's eye, the men of the Lord, the Lord is gonna have to sponge you as well. At least from this earth. And that is kingdom. But this is what the proud do right now. This is what the scorners, they delight in their scorning. The hearsayers, they're delight in their foolishness. And for all that, they're gonna be destroyed. They're gonna be made known of who the true men are and what true knowledge of this world is. It's not the wisdom of this. It's not this world. It's not the wisdom that we should be following. It's the spirit of YAHAWAH Shema Shai. Nothing else. If you're not going according to the scriptures, then you're going against the laws, going against order. And the Lord is not a God of imbalance. He's a God of true balance. He's gonna bring balance to the world. He's gonna wake up. He's waking up his the hopeful elect little by little, in the 1/3, of course, and then he's gonna give this earth back to who it truly belongs to, which is the righteous men of Yasharallah, man. But Lord willing, that's an edifying little lesson. Just going with hearsay. If you don't know nothing, shoot. The Lord gonna make sure that the people that do actually know something is going to be the ones that are going to be more so lifted up, and the teachings of them are going to be lifted up, because it's ultimately the teachings of YAHAWAH Shema Shai. But Lord, as an edifying little lesson with that, that's a shalom.